The blue light hits your face at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you don't even notice it anymore. You're lying on top of your comforter, still wearing the jeans you put on at 6:43 this morning. Your laptop is balanced on your chest, rising and falling with each breath, and the screen glows with the particular blue-white intensity of someone who forgot to turn on night shift again. Your apartment is quiet, not peaceful quiet, empty quiet, the kind of quiet that echoes off walls you have not decorated because you have not had time to go to IKEA, and even if you did, when would you assemble the furniture? There's a half-empty glass of water on your nightstand. You filled it at 9 p.m. You've taken exactly 2 sips. Your phone is face up on the mattress beside you, and every 30 to 45 seconds, the screen lights up with a new notification. Slack, email, Slack again, a calendar reminder for a meeting that starts in 12 hours. A text from your mom that you keep meaning to respond to. You don't pick it up. You just watch the glow pulse against your peripheral vision, rhythmic, relentless, like a heart monitor in a hospital room where nobody's getting better. You've been here before. You'll be here again. This is not an emergency. This is just Tuesday. Your name is not important. Your industry is not important. Your specific job title, your specific company, your specific combination of responsibilities and frustrations and unreturned DMs. These are all details that matter to you and no one else. What matters is this. You are good at your job. You are very, very good at your job. You hit your deadlines. You answer your emails. You show up to meetings prepared, which is more than half the people on your calendar can say. You have a reputation, not a loud reputation, not the kind that gets you quoted in industry publications or invited to speak on panels, but a quiet one, a reliable one. When people need something done correctly, without drama, without hand-holding, they say your name. You are the fixer. You are the steady hand. You are the person who gets promoted eventually, probably, maybe, if the budget holds, and the reorg does not shuffle your department into irrelevance and the VP remembers you exist when the senior roles open up. But tonight, at 11:52 p.m., with your laptop balanced on your sternum and your eyes burning from 16 hours of screen time, you are not thinking about promotions. You're thinking about the email you just sent. It was to your boss's boss's boss, a director-level stakeholder who requested a quick look at the Q4 projections at 4:15 p.m. You spent 3 hours and 47 minutes revising the deck. You added the new cohort analysis. You reformatted the charts. You rewrote the executive summary twice. You sent it at 8:02 p.m., which felt late, but not unreasonable. At 8:17 p.m., they replied, "Thanks. One word, period. Not thanks. This is great. Not thanks, I'll review tomorrow. Just thanks. The digital equivalent of a nod from across a crowded room. Acknowledgement without warmth. Transaction without relationship. You stared at that reply for 4 minutes. You composed 7 different responses in your head. You deleted all of them. You closed your laptop, opened it again, closed it again. Now it's almost midnight, and you haven't moved, and the blue light is still hitting your face, and you're wondering, for the first time in months, what exactly you're working so hard for. This is the pain point, the specific, unglamorous, deeply embarrassing ache that keeps you refreshing your inbox at 11:57 p.m. on a Tuesday. You keep waiting for someone to notice, not praise. You don't need praise, not a trophy or a shout-out in the all-hands or a $50 gift card to a coffee shop you do not even like. Just notice, just see, just acknowledge that the work you're doing is work, real work, The kind of work that keeps the wheels on the cart while other people point at the horizon and talk about where the cart should go. But nobody notices. Not really. Not in the way that matters. Your one-on-ones are efficient. Your performance reviews are positive. Your manager says you are meeting expectations and delivering consistent value, and Schwab's a key member of the team. These are all true statements. They are also statements that could be applied to a well-maintained printer. You are a well-maintained printer. You take the paper. You output the ink. You rarely jam. You sit quietly in the corner and require minimal maintenance. Printers don't get promoted. Printers don't get invited to strategy meetings. Printers don't get tapped on the shoulder and told, "We think you're ready for something bigger." Printers just print until they're replaced by a newer, faster, cheaper printer. And then they get thanked for their service and rolled into the recycling bin. Let's be specific. Let's put numbers and names and dates on this ache, so it stops being abstract. Her name is Danny. That's not her real name, but it's close enough. Danny works in marketing operations at a Series C startup in Austin. Not the sexy part of marketing, not the creative campaigns or the viral TikTok strategies, the plumbing, the spreadsheets, though who owns which lead, and why is Salesforce showing 3 different values for the same field. Work. Danny has been at the company for 4 years. 4 years of 9:47 p.m. Slack messages. 4 years of, "Can you take a look at this? And I know it's last minute, but..." And you're the only one who understands the attribution model. 4 years of being the reliable one, the steady hand, the printer that never jams. In January 2024, Danny's company raised a Series D at a valuation that made the founders billionaires on paper. There was a party, open bar, photo booth, a speech about why the incredible journey we've been on, and the poem, "The best is yet to come." Danny wasn't invited. She found out about the party the next morning, scrolling through Instagram, watching her co-workers post stories of champagne flutes and dance floors and group photos with the CEO. She wasn't in any of the photos. She wasn't mentioned in any of the captions. She was at home that night, finishing a report that was due at 8 a.m., eating leftover Thai food over her keyboard, wearing the same jeans she'd worn for 3 days. Nobody noticed she wasn't there. Nobody noticed she was never invited. Nobody noticed that the company's most reliable printer had been quietly, accidentally, left off the guest list. Danny didn't quit. She didn't rage apply to competitors or draft a blistering LinkedIn post about workplace culture. She just sat there, in her apartment, at 7:15 a.m., staring at her phone, watching her colleagues smile in front of the photo booth backdrop. And she thought, "What am I doing this for?" That was 18 months ago. Danny is still at the same company. She got a 3% raise in March. Her title changed from manager to senior manager. The work is the same. The hours are the same. The loneliness is the same. She's still waiting to be noticed. Let's talk about the sound of being unnoticed. It's not silence. That's the cruel trick. If it were silence, you'd know something was wrong. You'd feel the absence. You'd sit in the quiet and think, nobody's calling my name. No. The sound of being unnoticed is noise. Constant, relentless, overwhelming noise. Slack channels with 1,237 unread messages. Email threads that fork and branch like rivers into the delta of CCD stakeholders who never reply. Calendar invites that multiply overnight, like digital fungi, spreading into every available hour until your schedule is a solid wall of color-coded obligations. You are drowning in noise. You are drowning in requests and deadlines and circling back, and just following up. And any update on this. You are drowning in other people's priorities, other people's emergencies, other people's failure to plan ahead, and somehow, in the middle of all that noise, you are invisible. Nobody sees you. Nobody asks how you're doing. Nobody wonders if you have bandwidth, if you need support, if you might be approaching the thin, brittle edge of your capacity. You are a utility. You are infrastructure. You are the electrical grid, absolutely essential, completely ignored, only noticed when something breaks. The noise is not evidence that you matter. The noise is evidence that you are useful. There's a difference, a vast, aching, 11:47 p.m. difference. Here's the specific image. Hold it in your head. It's 8:14 a.m. on a Thursday in February. You're on the 4 train heading downtown, standing because there are no seats, pressed between a man in a heavy coat and a woman reading something on her Kindle. The train rattles. The lights flicker. Your phone has service, but barely. Enough to refresh Slack, but not enough to actually open the file your manager just mentioned. You're wearing your good coat, the one that cost more than you wanted to spend, but less than you needed to spend. Your boots are sturdy. Your bag is organized. You have a coffee in one hand and your phone in the other. And you are, by every external measure, a functioning adult professional. And you are so tired. Not sleepy tired. Not need more coffee tired. Deep tired. Bone tired. The kind of tired that doesn't respond to caffeine or sleep or weekends. The kind of tired that has become your baseline, your normal, your permanent ambient state. You think, is this it? Is this the whole thing? Is this what I spent 4 years of college and 7 years of my career and $47,000 in student loans to achieve? The train stops. People shuffle. The woman with the Kindle gets off. A teenager in a puffer jacket takes her spot. Your coffee is already lukewarm. You don't have an answer to the question. You don't even have the energy to hold the question. You just have another day of work, another inbox to clear, another set of expectations to meet. You put your phone in your pocket. You grip the overhead handle. You watch the tunnel walls blur past the window. This is the before. This is the baseline. This is what you've accepted as normal. Here's what the research actually says about people like you. In February 2025, Glassdoor published a report on workplace engagement. Not the fluffy, "How happy are you?" surveys that HR sends out twice a year. Real data. 55,000 workers across multiple industries, tracked over 18 months. The headline number got some attention. Nearly 65% of professionals reported feeling stuck in their current roles. But the deeper number, the one that didn't make it into the press releases, was about the highly reliable cohort. That's you, the people who never miss deadlines, never drop balls, never create problems for their managers to solve. The people who are described as consistent, dependable, low maintenance. Here's what the data shows. The highly reliable cohort is bone. 73%, less likely to be promoted than their less reliable peers. Not 10%, not 20%, 73%. The people who struggle, who miss deadlines, who require hand-holding and extra attention, they get promoted because they're visible. They're on their manager's radar. They're problems that need solving, and solving a problem feels like progress. The reliable ones, they're not problems. They're not visible. They're just there, humming along, meeting expectations, consistently, dependably, invisibly doing their jobs. Nobody promotes a printer. Let's go back to the apartment, 11:58 p.m. Your laptop is still on your chest. Your phone is still pulsing with notifications. Your water glass is still untouched. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately, something that completely changed how I look at my career, my life, and pretty much everything. It's this idea of waiting to be chosen. For the longest time, I operated under this assumption that life was a series of auditions. You know the drill. You work hard in school to get chosen by a good college. You study relentlessly in college to get chosen by a prestigious company. You put in long hours at that company, hoping to be chosen for a promotion, for the big project, for that corner office. It's a ladder, right? And at every rung, someone is standing there, holding a velvet rope, deciding if you're worthy enough to take the next step. I was the king of this mindset. I would meticulously craft my resume, practice my interview answers until they sounded spontaneous but were actually perfectly rehearsed. And I'd network like my life depended on it. I saw every interaction as a chance to impress someone, to get my name on some invisible list of people to watch. My entire professional identity was built around being the perfect candidate, the one who checks all the boxes, the safe bet. And for a while, it worked. I got chosen, I got the jobs, the raises, the pats on the back. I was collecting external validation like they were Pokemon cards. Each yes was a hit of dopamine, a confirmation that I was on the right track. But here's the thing about building your self-worth on someone else's approval. It's incredibly fragile. The moment the yeses stop coming, or even just slow down, the whole structure starts to wobble. A few years ago, I was up for a major leadership role at a company I had poured my heart and soul into. I was the logical choice. I had the experience, the track record, the relationships. I had done everything right. I played the game perfectly. I spent months preparing, envisioning myself in that role, planning my first 90 days. In my mind, it was a done deal. I was just waiting for the official announcement. And then, I wasn't chosen. They went with an external candidate, someone with a different background, a different vision. The feedback was vague, something about a fresh perspective. But the message was clear. You're not the one. Honestly, it crushed me. It wasn't just about losing the job. It felt like a rejection of my entire career up to that point. All those late nights, all that extra effort, all that time spent trying to be the perfect employee. For what? To be passed over? My confidence shattered. I started questioning everything. Was I not as good as I thought I was? Had I been fooling myself all this time? I went through a period of feeling pretty lost. I was angry, I was bitter, and mostly, I was just sad. It felt like I had reached the end of the line. I had played their game, and I had lost. It was during this time, while I was scrolling aimlessly through the internet, trying to distract myself, that I stumbled upon this simple, powerful idea. Choose yourself. It sounds so simple, almost like a cliché you'd see on a motivational poster. But when I really let it sink in, it was a revelation. All my life, I had been waiting for someone else to give me permission. Permission to lead, permission to create, permission to be successful. I was standing in a line, holding my resume, hoping someone would call my name. What if I just left the line? What if I stopped, waiting for the gatekeepers, and just built my own gate? This idea started a fire in me. I began to look at my skills and passions not as assets to be sold to an employer, but as tools to build something of my own. I had always been passionate about storytelling and connecting with people, but I had always channeled that into corporate presentations and marketing campaigns for someone else's brand. So, I made a decision. I was going to choose myself. I didn't quit my job overnight. It wasn't some dramatic movie scene. It was a slow, deliberate shift in mindset and action. I started small. I bought a decent camera and a microphone. I started this YouTube channel. At first, it was terrifying. Putting your own ideas out there with no corporate brand to hide behind is incredibly vulnerable. What if no one watched? What if people thought my ideas were stupid? The old, waiting to be chosen mindset was screaming at me. Who are you to do this? You don't have a degree in filmmaking. You haven't been chosen by a network. But this time, I ignored that voice. I told myself that the only permission I needed was my own. My first few videos were, well, they were not great. The lighting was bad, I stumbled over my words, and my editing was choppy. I got maybe 50 views, and most of them were probably from my mom. But something amazing happened. I didn't care, because for the first time, I wasn't doing it for someone else's approval. I was doing it for me. I was learning. I was creating. I was expressing myself. The act of choosing myself was, in itself, the reward. Slowly but surely, things started to change. I got better at filming. I found my voice. I started talking about things I was genuinely passionate about, like this very topic, and people started to respond. An audience started to build, not because I was chosen by some algorithm or featured by a big platform, but because I was consistently showing up and sharing something authentic. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you have to become an entrepreneur or a freelancer. It's a mindset that applies to any situation. It means taking ownership of your career development instead of waiting for your boss to send you to a training course. It means starting that side project you've been dreaming about, even if it's just for an hour a week. It means speaking up in a meeting and sharing your idea, not because you want to impress the VP, but because you believe in the idea. It's about shifting your focus from what do they want from me to what do I want to create. It's almost the difference between being a passive passenger in your own life and grabbing the steering wheel. When you're waiting to be chosen, you're constantly trying to fit into a mold that someone else created. You're playing a game where someone else sets the rules and keeps the score. You become a commodity, easily replaceable by the next person in line who looks good on paper. But when you choose yourself, you create your own category. You are an expert, the creator, the leader. You're not just a player in the game. You're the one who designed it. Your value is no longer determined by an external interview panel, but by the work you create and the impact you have. Looking back, not getting that promotion was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the painful catalyst I needed to break free from a system that was never designed for my true fulfillment. It forced me to stop looking for validation from the outside and start building it from within. If you're feeling stuck right now, if you're waiting by the phone for a call that might never come, I want to challenge you. What is one small step you can take today to choose yourself? Maybe it's registering a domain name for that blog you've been thinking about. Maybe it's signing up for an online course to learn a new skill. Maybe it's just writing down your ideas in a notebook for no one else but you. Stop waiting for permission. The gatekeepers are busy. They might not see you, and honestly, their validation is overrated. The most powerful, most fulfilling, and most sustainable path to success is the one you build for yourself. Choose yourself. Start today. Thanks so much for listening. This was a personal one, and I hope it resonated with some of you. If it did, let me know in the comments what you're going to do to choose yourself. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? My name is Mira, and I want to share a story with you. Maybe you'll see a bit of yourself in it. If my story resonates with you, if you feel that exhaustion deep in your bones, please know you're not alone. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you've ever dealt with burnout, I'd love to hear about your experience in the comments. This is the crack. This is the first hairline fracture in the concrete wall you've spent years building around yourself. This is the question that, once asked, cannot be unasked. You don't have to answer it tonight. You don't have to change your life by tomorrow. You don't have to quit your job, delete Slack, move to the woods, and become a potter. You just have to hold the question. What would you cut out tomorrow if you truly believed your attention was finite and sacred? Hold it. Sit with it. Let it breathe. Because once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. And once you see the door, the only question is whether you're brave enough to walk through. Outside Mira's window, the Chicago skyline does what it always does. Lights flicker, trains rumble, the city exhales. She picks up her cold coffee, takes a sip, makes a face. Tomorrow she's going to try something different. She doesn't know what yet. Just something. One small thing. One crack in the wall. That's all it takes. It's 6:57 a.m. on a Tuesday, and Mira is standing in her kitchen, staring at her coffee maker like it owes her money. She hasn't slept well, again. The radiator in her Logan Square apartment clanked all night, that rhythmic metallic thunk-thunk-thunk that sounds exactly like someone slowly, patiently trying to break in through the fire escape. Her cat, a grumpy orange tabby named Juno, is currently occupying the exact spot on the counter where the coffee carafe goes. He blinks at her slowly. He does not move. Outside, the sky is doing that Chicago thing where it's technically morning but looks and feels like evening. Gray, heavy, the kind of light that makes you check your phone to confirm the date. February 18th, 2025, Tuesday. Myra has a 9 a.m. with the CMO, an 11 a.m. with Creative, a 2 p.m. budget review that should have been an email, and 4 decks to review before anyone else wakes up on the West Coast. Her Slack icon already shows 3 unread DMs. She hasn't even poured the water yet. This is the moment. This is the exact hinge point where every single morning of her adult life has gone the same way. But this morning is different. She'll open Slack. She'll start responding. She'll get pulled into the current and swept downstream. And by the time she surfaces, it'll be 6:42 p.m., and she'll realize she hasn't eaten anything except the sad granola bar she found at the bottom of her bag. This morning, she's still holding last night's question, the one that kept her staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., the one that's been scratching at the inside of her skull like Juno scratching at the bedroom door. What if your attention is finite and sacred? She looks at her phone. 3 DMs. She looks at the coffee maker. No water. She makes a choice. At 7:03 a.m., Myra does something she has never done before in 7 years of professional employment. She opens her Notes app instead of Slack. Her thumb hovers over the icon. Her heart rate is doing something weird. This is ridiculous. This is literally just a Notes app. She's not defusing a bomb. She's not performing open-heart surgery. She's just not opening work chat for 11 more minutes. It feels like a felony. Here's what she writes. Who decides if I get promoted? She stares at the question. It seems too simple, too obvious. She adds, not HR, not my peer reviews, not my skip level. Who actually decides? She thinks about her org chart, the boxes and lines, the dotted line reporting structures, the matrix of who reports to who that she hasn't looked at since onboarding. She writes a name, Elena Park, VP of Brand. Elena is 3 levels above her. Elena has a corner office with an actual door, not one of those glass boxes where everyone can watch you eat lunch at your desk. Elena is on the executive floor. Elena doesn't attend the meetings Myra attends. Elena attends the meetings before the meetings, where the actual decisions get made. Myra has exchanged exactly 17 words with Elena Park in 4 years. 12 of them were hi and thanks, and you too. 5 of them were during a Zoom breakout room in 2022 where they both muted themselves immediately. She writes another name, Marcus Chen, SVP of Marketing. Marcus is Elena's boss. Marcus has been here for 18 months. Marcus has never spoken to Myra directly. She's pretty sure he doesn't know her name. She's not even sure he knows her department exists. She writes a third name. She doesn't know who else. That's the problem. She's been here 4 years, and she doesn't know who holds the keys. At 7:11 a.m., she opens LinkedIn. The app takes a second to load. Her feed is what it always is. A former co-worker announcing a new role. A thought leader posting a thread about psychological safety. An ad for a certification course she has been meaning to look into since 2023. She ignores all of it. She types Elena Park into the search bar. Elena's profile is meticulously maintained. Professional headshot, custom URL, banner image of a mountain range with a motivational quote about resilience. Her experience section goes back 17 years. Her recommendations are glowing. Her activity shows she liked a post about AI and advertising 4 hours ago. Mira's thumb hovers again. There's a button. You know the button. It says, connect. It says, message. It says, are you brave enough to make yourself known? Her throat is dry. Her coffee is getting cold. Juno has migrated from the counter to her laptop bag and is currently attempting to fold himself into a tote that is clearly designed for documents, not 12-pound cats. Mira types, "Hi, Elena. I'm Mira from Brand. I've been following the work your team did on the Q1 integrated campaign and wanted to say the creative really landed with our audience. Hope you're having a good week. 4 sentences, 43 words, nothing asked for, nothing demanded. Just value, just visibility, just a tiny, almost invisible crack in the wall." She reads it 3 times. Her thumb moves to send.